The second part of 9.1 is graphing circles. So we're going to look at graphing circles now. And just to review, the standard form of an equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal to r squared. And the center is hk. The radius is r. So you're going to be given an equation, and we're going to write down the center and the radius, and that's all we need. And then graphing these are pretty easy, which drawing a perfect circle is not super easy, but that's okay. So when we look at graphing these, all we need is the center and the radius to graph it. So when we are given an equation in standard form, it's pretty easy because all we've got to do is pick out the center and the radius. So first, let's start by picking out our center. So our center comes from h and k, which is here and here in our standard form. The thing you have to remember is just flip the sign. So when we bring down plus 2, it's a minus 2 for our center. And when we have a minus 5 in our standard form, it's a positive 5 in our center. So our center from this equation is negative 2, 5. And then our radius is the square root of whatever our equation's equal to. Because remember, in our standard form, r squared is actually what everything is equal to. So in this case, the radius would be 3. So to graph these, it's very easy. The first thing you're going to do is plot your center. So the center would be at negative 2 up to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the center would be right here. Now the radius tells you from that center in each direction, 3 places will be the next endpoint. So all you have to do is start at the endpoint and count up 3. So 1, 2, 3. That's one endpoint. Then count to the right 3. So that would be 1, 2, 3. That would be another endpoint. Then start at your center and count down 3. So 1, 2, 3. That would be another endpoint. And then the last endpoint is 3 spaces to the left of our center. So 1, 2, 3. Those are all of our endpoints. And now our circle will be here. So that's our circle. It's that simple. So as long as you have your center and radius, you plot the center, and then you're going to count up as many units as your radius is. You're going to count to the right, count to the bottom or down, and then count to the left of your or from your center. So I'll do another one. So number 2, we've got our equation, and we need to figure out what our center is. So our h will come from what's in parentheses with x. So that's going to be a minus 7. So in our center, it's going to be positive 7. And then you'll notice here, we just have y squared. That just means that the k in there there's no k there written. So it's just 0. So our center is 7, 0. And then our radius is just 1, or whatever our equation's equal to, the square root of it, which the square root of 1 is just 1. So our center here is 7, 0. Our radius is 1. So all we've got to do is plot the center, which is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our center would be here. And then the rest of our points are just 1 to the or 1 up from 7, 0, which would be here, 1 to the right, which would be here, 1 below, which would be here, and 1 to the left, which would be here. So our circle is right there. So that's where our circle would be, and that's what it would look like. So graphing these are very easy. You're going to figure out what the center is, and it's given to you in your equation. All you've got to do is pull out the center, or pull out h and k, and that's your center, but you have to flip the sign. And then, like in number 2, if k or x or k or h aren't written there for you, it just has y squared or x squared, that means that the coordinate for that is just 0. And then we have to take the square root of whatever our equation's equal to, and that's our radius. And then you plot the radius, or you plot the center, and then the radius, all you've got to do is count up how many units the radius is, and that'll give you all 4 of your endpoints. So you count up, you count to the right, you count down, you count to the left. And then you just draw a circle. So the only added part here, which I'm not making this part of the homework, but for future reference, if you see this, so if your equation's not in standard form, so like in number 3, our equation here is not in standard form because of these 5s here that are in front of x squared and y squared. All we would have to do here is divide by 5 and get this in standard form. So it would be x squared plus y squared equals 16, and that's the standard form of our equation. So then our center would be at 0, 0, because it's just x squared and y squared. Our radius would be 4, and then to graph this, we would start at the origin. We would count up 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We would go to the right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We would go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to the left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be our circle. So if it's not given to you in standard form, which I'm not going to make you do that, but if it's not given to you in standard form, it's still pretty easy to do. All you've got to do is either get your equation as y plus something squared, or like in this case, we just needed to get rid of these 5, so we just divided by them. But we're not going to focus too much on that. But that is it for this video on graphing our circles.